Welcome to the podcast. We are going to be doing a great episode today about the sun and skin cancer. And we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about.
We do.
And we have Jen.
Yep.
And
we have wonderful Dr. Kate Viola from our dermatology practice. And she's going to be teaching us a lot about the importance of sunscreen, just about some recent studies. And
oh, I heard about that.
Yep.
That is kind of scary.
I know.
And then we won't talk about you, Jen.
No.
That other thing.
No.
That's our secret.
Right.
Maybe.
We might get into it. You should listen.
Okay.
Here we go. Welcome to TMI, a podcast by Henry Ford Allegiance Health. Today is a nice, bright and sunshiny day outside.
It is.
It's been raining for a little while, but, it's actually been a pretty nice week, though.
It has. I'm ready for this weather.
Yeah.
It's getting depressing.
With nice weather comes the sun.
Yes.
Here comes the sun. And, everybody loves the sun.
Yep.
Except for your skin, not so much.
You got to be healthy about it.
So I've been working outside doing a lot of yard work and being exposed to the skin and trying to find the right kind of product for my skin and my head, which is getting a little bit thin on top with the hair. So I'm a little concerned sometimes that I'm going to get a sunburn up there. But TMI.
Yep. Hey, we got to talk about it, right?
Right, exactly. So what topic are we going to be talking about today, Jen?
So today we're going to be talking about the importance of sunscreen. We're going to learn a little bit more about some of the dangers of skin cancer, what we can do to protect ourselves, and we are super happy to have Dr. Kate Viola
Thank you so much.
our dermatology practice.
I'm so happy to be here.
Welcome.
And I'm sitting next to two very fair people who need to be wearing their sunscreen.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That's why we're doing this podcast
Good.
with you.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm very glad.
So yeah, we do have a lot of questions.
Terrific.
We had talked before when we did a podcast, and I think we just want to kind of dig into a couple more topics. And I think you had mentioned that there was a study that came out, so we're probably going to get into that as well.
Great.
So why don't we start out with why is the sun harmful and how does it cause skin cancer?
Yeah, and that's a very good, simple question. The sun emits UVA and UVB radiation. And these, in turn, when they hit our skin, can cause DNA damage.
Okay.
And over time, our normal skin, because of this DNA damage, turns into abnormal skin, which turns into skin cancers. So it's an evolutionary process. At the same time, though, it can actually come really, really quickly on patients or people like yourselves who are so fair. Like I noticed, David, with your red beard, this is something where you really need to be wearing sunscreen and seeking sun protection, wearing sunglasses, and seeking shade.
He had
Very
actually
important.
asked me this morning, if wearing his hat is enough. And I was like, I think that helps.
Yeah,
but
so it does help. It actually works very, very well. However, hats, depends on what type of hat. So I have so many patients, guys, who come in with their baseball hats.
Right.
Yep.
But those ears are not being covered. And then people always forget to put sunscreen on their ears. And we have a really... over the past maybe 10 or 15 years, you've seen an increase in the amount of skin cancers on the ears. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a very common place to get skin cancer.
Okay.
And I think the most important take-home message for people is that skin cancer can be prevented, the vast majority. Now, there is a small, small proportion that's associated with genetic genetics that we cannot control. But the vast majority of skin cancers can be prevented. And we have the power to do that by doing these simple measures like the sunscreen, seeking shade, and wearing sunglasses. It really makes a huge difference, especially when we talk about melanoma, which is deadly.
Right.
So if you have that power, it's I always make the analogy, and it throws people off to a certain degree, but then when they think about it, they're like, you're right, to cigarettes. You have the power not to smoke. You have the power to, wear the sunscreen and seek sun protection because it makes a huge difference. Plus, when you have a lot of sun, you age quicker and you don't look as good. So.
Right. And then that gets expensive to try to keep ahead of that.
That
So
is true.
you had mentioned melanoma. What What are the 3 common types of skin cancer?
Sure. Let me go over that with you guys. So the most common types are basal cell skin cancer, or carcinoma, that's a fancy word for cancer, squamous cell skin cancer. The combined total, about 3 million, a little bit over 3 million a year in America alone are diagnosed. Wow. These are skin cancers that are not going to change the longevity of your life. They are abnormal growths. They are cancer on the skin and should be removed, must be removed, but they're not going to kill you. Some of the squamous cells, if they're on the head and the neck, can be a little bit problematic because they can spread or metastasize. But in general, those skin cancers are very, very common and easily treatable.
Okay.
Melanomas, about 96,000 will be diagnosed this year, 2019, and about 7,300 of those cases, those patients will die. So about 1 patient an hour is the estimate of people dying with melanoma. But if you wear sunscreen, you reduce your risk of melanoma by 50%.
Wow.
How do you increase your risk of melanoma? And I'm going to bring this up because this is a very, very important topic for me, is the tanning beds. So tanning beds, if you are in the tanning beds, the tanning salon, I never know what to call it. I always call it the tanning salon. We didn't have those in New York, so I'm always using these words like salon.
Right.
You know, these places that you can go to get tans in the beds. The problem with the tanning beds is they're not monitored. So the UVA and UVB radiation I was talking about with you guys from the sun, they can be up to 12 times stronger in these tanning beds because they're not regulated. So as a result, you have a very higher chance of getting a skin cancer.
So it's not just like laying out in the sun.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Wow.
It's better to be in the natural sunlight. So the increase, you have a 75% increased risk of getting a melanoma if you've been in the tanning beds under the age of 35. A 67% increased risk of squamous cell skin cancer and a 29% risk of basal cell skin cancer. And there are many states. There's 18 states who have banned the tanning beds, including places like Texas, where you would never even think. California, New York, Kansas. There's a wide range of states that have banned this, and this is in minors. It hasn't been banned in Michigan, but I'm working with some other colleagues to see if we can make that happen, because I have a lot of patients who will come in who are very, very young and who are in these tanning beds.
Right.
I just had a patient recently who was 18 who has a melanoma and is from the tanning bed. And these are preventable. I mean, at age 18, having a melanoma is very, very scary.
Right.
And they also cause a lot of sun damage. And I have patients who have been doing tanning beds for a long time, and they come in and they're 40 and they look like they're 70. I'm not joking. They really don't look good. So it's important that people realize, you know, how detrimental, how bad these tanning beds are. And I always say this because I do understand these winters in Michigan can be really harsh. There's no sun. It may be, 10 degrees out or 0 degrees, and there's no sun. And so I see why people seek the tanning beds. They seek warmth. They seek, makes them happier, seasonal affective disorder.
Yep.
But they're just so bad for you.
And I've heard a lot of people say like, I need to get my base tan on so I don't burn.
Yes, that's a very common question. So base tan, so burning is indicative of dead skin cells. Base tan is indicative of DNA damage. So you're putting DNA damage on top of DNA damage. That's not going to make you get a base tan and make your skin better and not burn. It's just more DNA damage, which will increase your risk of skin cancers. So that's a very common question. I get, I need my base tan, or I need, I'm going to Florida. I'm going to Arizona, and I need to have my base tan.
Going to bring up.
Yeah.
Here we go, Dave. I'm going on a trip.
I didn't bring it up.
I know.
Where are you going? Somewhere great?
California.
Nice. I love California.
Yes. So we're going to California, and my husband is caramel colored. Like, he tans immediately. Like, it's just so easy for him. So he's outside all of the time. I can't be. So I tend to try to do what Dave just said. Go to the tanner and get a base tan, just so I can actually be outside at the beach.
Right.
So what do I need to do to be safer?
Question. And I will mention that California has banned tanning beds in minors.
Okay,
So,
right.
So I'm going to show you some really great products that I love that are self-tanners. You can get a spray tan. Those are safe. You can use self-tanners, which are great. And then once you go to the beach, et cetera, then wear sunscreen. But these self-tanners, they have really perfected self-tanners over the years. 10 years ago, they were streaky. You were orange. You look like what is an Oompa Loompa? You look like an Oompa Loompa. I love that movie. It's a great movie. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, if anybody doesn't know that reference. But there are so many good products now. And I got all of these products. These were from Target and Meijer, and they were all under $8.
Nice.
And they're big. This Neutrogena Build-A-Tan is terrific. You can do it at your own pace. So if you're feeling like you're getting too dark, then you just stop. I think that was like $7.99 or something.
Okay.
The Banana Boat Summer Cooler, it's in the light color, and it's once again, you can adjust the color.
Yep.
So if you want to use a little bit more, you can. If you want to stop, stop.
Okay.
Jergens, I didn't bring my Jergens, but Jergens makes a really good one as well.
I've used that one and this one.
And the Sublime Glow. I really like the Sublime Glow.
That one smells good.
And it smells good, even though it was funny, we were on JTV last week and we were talking about smells, and I was saying, we don't like smell in dermatology. Fragrance-free is the way to go.
Sure.
But these always have a smell.
Yep.
And this smell, and they actually talk about this, that the smell is better because it's lighter. So you don't get like this heavy floral smell or citrus smell, whatever. But this is actually really nice because it has a moisturizer built in. So I've liked the L'Oreal products. And these are the cheapy ones, which are just as effective as like the Saint Tropez, which is $40 a bottle.
Okay.
And all of these other more expensive ones. I mean, you can just go online and Google this, and so many different products will come up. But they have perfected the vast majority of these.
Nice. And
they really don't give you that orangey look or the streak look. So the other problem is that streak look. They really don't do that at all. And then obviously, if you're going to go to those tanning salons, go and get a spray tan, because a lot of these companies will also have, the businesses will also have a spray tan in there. And it's funny because I have several patients who work in these tanning beds, and many of them come to me and say, well, they kind of want us to be tan to work there. I said, just please do the spray tan. I'll write you a note that you're, and I've written a couple of notes for patients.
Yep. Yeah, just to keep them out of there.
Say,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So just getting back to kind of like diagnosing a skin cancer, like what are the criteria that you use? So I think we had talked about like that full body skin exam before, but so if you see something suspicious, what are you looking for?
Sure. Okay. So I think the take home message for people are the ABCDEs of melanoma.
Okay.
And that's very, very simple. Obviously, if you have a growth that seems to be growing, that's bleeding or ulcerating, or just does not look right, I think everybody knows when they see something that doesn't look right.
Sure.
Just come to, and it's important, and the American Academy of Dermatology is really stressing this, go to a board-certified dermatologist and have your skin checked, because a lot of non-dermatologists will be performing these skin checks and may not be or may be unsure as to what is really indeed a skin cancer or not. Also, at least at Henry Ford Allegiance Dermatology, we are all trained in dermoscopy. So we have like these mini microscopes that we use to look at each of your moles, to look at these lesions in a closer, in-depth way that we've been trained in, so we can very easily spot skin cancers, all three of those skin cancers, if not these other rare skin cancer types. So the ABCDEs of melanoma. If you have a mole that is asymmetrical, meaning if you cut it in half, one side looks different than the other side.
Okay.
B is the borders are irregular. They could be jagged. They could just look ridged. They just don't look right. They don't look round and normal. C is color. Sometimes the color will change. You'll have something that's brown and all of a sudden it's black, or vice versa. You know, if things are changing, the color is changing, then that's something to to be concerned about.
Okay.
D is diameter. Now, this is not always true, but bigger than a pencil-size eraser. However, I've had melanomas that are half the size of a pencil-size eraser. So that I always, say is not D is not always correct. But if something seems to be growing, please come in. And E is evolving, like we talked about with color. If things are changing, or if they're bleeding, ulcerating, I think people know when something is wrong. Now, let's say it's on your back or on your bum. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get things in places that you can't really see.
Yep.
Many studies have shown that spouses or significant others or loved ones have found skin cancers on their spouse or significant other.
Yep.
So that's one thing that's important. And if you're unsure, you have a family history of skin cancer, you are fair, like these two over here, then just come on in and get a skin check. The American Academy of Dermatology, American Cancer Society, they all recommend a yearly skin exam. It's very easy, and in all honesty, it's not as invasive as one would think. And we try to make it as easy and simple for you so that it's not uncomfortable.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you could be saving your life or somebody else's.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. Well,
I think we need to talk about sunscreen.
Yes, yes.
yeah.
So I heard something in the news about a study that just came out about different types of sunscreens. Can you just tell us a little bit more about what?
Sure.
Yeah, we need
This
the
is
truth.
really important. Actually, this came out 2 weeks ago in JAMA magazine, which is JAMA, the journal JAMA, which is the Journal of the American Medical Association, and it is probably one of the world-renowned journals for research.
Okay.
And what it showed was that certain types of sunscreen, the ingredients in certain types of sunscreen can actually get into your bloodstream within a day. And what happened is that this became highly publicized within like 3 days. It was all over the news. It was on the television. It was on the radio. Everybody was up in arms and thinking now they shouldn't be wearing sunscreen. So I want to explain the differences between sunscreens. There are two types. There are a chemical blocker and a physical blocker. The physical blockers actually act as barriers, or like if you put it on your face like a mask. So sun rays come in and then they just get deflected right off.
Okay.
These are the sunscreens that have active ingredients such as zinc or titanium.
Okay.
Now, most people will say zinc, oh my gosh, that's like the surfers or the lifeguards that are all white. But in this day and age, they've really perfected them. Just like the tanning creams that we talked about, the self-tanners, they have really perfected sunscreens to the point where it's not white anymore. It goes on really smoothly. So that is very, very important that you look at your active ingredient in your sunscreen and you choose the zinc or titanium. This will not go into your bloodstream like the chemical blockers. Chemical blockers are the ones that we are concerned about. And I've actually never encouraged patients. I've always encouraged the zinc and titanium because they just protect better. The chemical blockers have as active ingredients the benzones, so avobenzone, oxybenzone, and those are the ones that you want to look for and not purchase.
Okay.
Those are the ones that in the study show that they went into the bloodstream. Now, I will say they don't know what they do in the bloodstream.
Yeah,
but it's still absorbing into your skin, and that's a concern. For children, well, first for babies under 6 months should always be in the shade, never in the sun. And even under a year or 2 years, you should really try not to have your child or toddler in the sun. This sunscreen is great from Neutrogena, the Pure and Free Baby. This is zinc.
Nice.
Zinc oxide base, 21%.
Yep.
As well as the Continuous Protection Aveeno Baby, which is 50.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is also 52. Oh, a note on SPF. So you always want to go between 30 and 60. Under 30 is not going to protect you like you need. 30%, the 30 SPF will protect you against 97% of sun rays. Over 60, the difference between a 60 and an 85 or the 100, that's all marketing. The difference between those, they're not going to protect you very much more.
Gotcha.
So really, the sweet spot is between 30 and 60. And if you're in direct sunlight, I really encourage patients to reapply every 2 hours.
Okay.
So these are really, really good products. And all of these other ones too. These range price point wise around $7 or $8. If you come into our office, we'll give you coupons for all of these.
So this kind of makes me think of a question. So my moisturizer and my makeup both have SPF.
Excellent.
So do I need to be concerned about that going into my bloodstream?
You need to look at what the active ingredient is of the makeup.
Okay.
So there's a lot of makeups now that have the sunscreen built in.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of those makeups, though, are the avobenzone and oxybenzone. Like there is a really famous one that people use. I don't know if I should be naming names on the air, so I'm not going to name it. But people love this. There's a cult. There's a cult following. It's always like in vogue and in style, and it gives you a really beautiful glow. But that's avobenzone and oxybenzone. Yeah. So a lot of the tinted moisturizers. Yeah, for sure. Okay. A lot of the tinted moisturizers have the avobenzone and the oxybenzone in them. But so Elta MD is a really, really good sunscreen that has the zinc and titanium in it.
You sell that at
And we sell that at our practice. The tinted moisturizer, I think, is about $35. But I wear it, and it's lasts me, like one of those bottles lasts like 3 to 4 months.
Oh, nice.
And it gives you a really nice glow no matter what your skin type is.
Okay.
So if you're lighter or you're darker, it doesn't matter. It just gives you a really nice glow, and it's definitely worth it. I don't have to wear makeup. I just put it on. It's excellent. There's also, we have Color Science, which is a powder that's a zinc powder that you can just put right on, easy breezy. It's great. That we also sell. But you can get, the beauty industry, it's a billion-dollar industry. There's so many products now, and I think that there's going to be a lot more zinc and titanium-based products now that the word is out about the potential dangers of these chemical sunscreens. And chemical sunscreen, that's exactly what they are. They're chemicals. Do you really want to be putting them on your skin or your family's skin?
Right.
Well,
and it sounds like probably a lot of these like makeup lines and moisturizer lines might be doing some
for sure.
reformulizing.
Yeah, well, like La Roche-Posay, which is from France, they are now changing all of their sunscreen to zinc-based.
Nice.
And they're going to have that, I think, within the next year. It's going to be so they won't have carry products that have avobenzone or oxybenzone, and they have a cult following. They really are very, very good.
Yep.
Yeah.
We have samples in the office if you want to try it.
Okay.
They have a really nice tinted moisturizer as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, I think we covered some pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I know I learned a lot.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I know I'm going to a baseball game this weekend, and I'm going to be putting that on
Good.
every 2
Good.
hours.
Are you taking
making
those
sure.
babies?
Yes.
All right.
So making sure they're all.
Lather them up too.
Yep.
I'm really appreciative of you having me. I think it's so important. I can't stress enough. Like, education is power, and protection. In all honesty, and people really have the power to protect themselves from skin cancers. They can be very, very detrimental, especially the melanoma. So please seek protection and shade and sunglasses. And really, you can get a beautiful glow with these types of products or a spray tan, and it will be healthy.
Yep, absolutely.
Very cool. All right. Well, thanks for being on the show with us.
Thank
this
you
is
so
such an
much.
important topic. And if you want to hear more of these podcasts, if you want to hear the last one that we were all on together with,
Yes.
that was a fun one too.
Yeah.
But you can find those all on henryford.com/podcast or on iTunes or Spotify or anywhere that you get your podcast. So thanks for listening, and we will be back soon with another podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks.